Let's move to Rockets and Warriors. This is a series that a lot of people have the Warriors winning, despite being the 7th seed and kind of flaming out towards the end of the season. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, the Warriors, if there are any Rockets fans watching, I'm so sorry. You deserve so much better than this. The Big Little podcast won't reward you twice. I gave Ime Udoka the coach of the year, but I have to go Warriors in 7. I just think that this Warriors team is like I just think this Warriors team is much better than a 7 seed. Obviously, we know how the end of that playoff race like ended. Anywhere from 3 to 8 was within 2 or 3 games. So any of these teams don't feel like maybe they should be seated where they are. But like between Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry, when they both play together, they're 23-5. So I mean, since the All-Star break, since that trade happened, they've really been one of the better teams when both of them are on the court, and they've been playing the majority of the games together. So they can really play off each other too. I feel like Jimmy Butler has been significantly more comfortable than I thought he would be as the number 2 or the 1A guy to Steph Curry. Like obviously it was always going to be Steph's team, but like Jimmy's really embraced that, and he kind of like he in post game interviews he talks about being like that kind of second fiddle guy and being like the butler to like him Steph Curry. So I think that the fact that he's embraced his role and is kind of happy with that, and then obviously as a Heat fan, I've seen so much of Jimmy Butler, like playoff Jimmy, and I just can't discount him in a first round series versus an inexperienced Rockets team. I know that this Rockets team is really good, and like they are the second seed in the West, but playoff Jimmy is real, and if you haven't watched over the last couple of seasons, which is kind of hard not to, I went to the game that Jimmy scored 56 against the Bucks and put the Heat up 3-1 in that series that they eventually ended up winning in 5. It's different in the playoffs. Like Jimmy Butler is a different animal. He's averaging 17 points a game during the regular season. Expect that number to go up by at least 5 or 6 points in the playoffs. He gets to the rim. He draws and ones like it's nobody's business. That's one of his main calling cards is that he gets to the rim and gets fouled. I don't see a way like a world where no, I definitely see a world in which the Rockets could win. But Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun being like the 2 best players on your team, I just feel like the Rockets are maybe a season or 2 away. And I feel like with a lot of these young teams, it feels like that. But especially against an experienced Warriors team with playoff Jimmy now, I like this Warriors team coming out in 7, which I think that the Rockets will push them to the brink. Or I don't know how I want to phrase that because the Rockets are technically the favorites, but I just think the Warriors can get it done, especially with playoff Jimmy. I've seen it time and time again, even in series where like as a Heat fan, I might have been not as confident, especially against like those Celtics teams. He just finds a way to get it done, and I just think that the Warriors can find a way to.
Yeah, when you were talking, I was thinking about trying to phrase this in a way that wasn't going to say the Rockets were going to take the Warriors to the brink because obviously the Warriors are the 7th seed in this, but this just feels like a classic not just yet type of series. The Rockets have been so good this year. They wrapped up that 2nd seed with like 3 games remaining while all the other teams were jockeying for playoff position, and in the play-in like the Warriors, the Rockets were set. And they've had such a great year, another great turnaround, and they have a culture there too, in my opinion, that is way better than what they potentially had definitely a handful of years ago, even when Jalen Green was on the roster, but potentially what they had with James Harden. Like they, coached by Ime Udoka, like are a lot better of an organization, in my opinion. But with that being said, they the Golden State Warriors have 11,364 more playoff minutes than the Rockets. That is insane. That is a crazy number. And I'll give you this extra stat. The in series where a team is down 11,000 minutes of playoff experience or more, they are 37%. They have a 37% win percentage against the opposing teams. They don't win these series. Like there's a handful of things in the NBA that remain true as time goes on, and one of them is when there is an inexperienced playoff team, their time is ticking if they have to go play a team like the Warriors. Okay, I compared this playoff series to 2 different playoff series. One, I think this Warriors team will look very similar to when they played the Kings in the first round a handful of years ago, where that series was just a bloodbath. This is going to be a tough one, and I think this could potentially go 7 games as well. And then I want to go all the way back to when the Warriors played the Spurs, when the Spurs still had Duncan and all those boys back in like 2013, 2014. And the Warriors pushed the Spurs team that was very talented to 6 games. And you just knew that, hey, that Warriors team is coming. They have something different. They are really good. You got to respect them. I think the Rockets are in that position, but I just don't think they have enough. And as you mentioned, Jimmy Butler, playoff riser, Steph Curry, obviously Steph Curry. The Rockets are going to be able to throw some decent perimeter defenders at him. And Amen Thompson is not just a decent perimeter defender; he's one of the best in the league. But that'll give them problems. But I just don't see it. I would be surprised, I think, if the Rockets won this series.
Yeah, I mean, I have the Warriors winning in 7. So would it surprise me if the Rockets won as the 2 seed? Not exactly. I think surprise is the wrong word, but I definitely think that the Warriors are going to win this series. And I wanted to go back just because we're not going to touch on the Heat because like they're like one of the teams fighting for the play-in, and I don't even want them in the playoffs. But I just want to go back and reminisce over some of those days for a second. Like Jimmy Butler was carrying a team that had Gabe Vincent, like consistently, Gabe Vincent and Caleb Martin as his third and fourth best player, which is absurd because Gabe Vincent is barely getting minutes or is like the eighth or ninth best player for a Lakers team that is good, but not like world beaters right now. Like Jimmy Butler has a way of not only elevating his game in the playoffs, but also elevating the mentality and just the play of the players around him in playoff series. And I think that gets you at least a game or two. And Steph Curry being who Steph Curry is, just the culture around that team. If Jonathan Kuminga can like get into the rotation at all, obviously he's been a DNP by coach's decision. Like I don't know what's going on that front, but this team GP2 is like we're talking about perimeter defenders. Gary Payton II is really, really good on defense. They just have a lot of Draymond Green could possibly win the defensive player of the year. It's more than just Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry, but I think that those two are probably the main drivers. And I think those two alone can keep you in a series.
Yeah. If Kuminga can make any sort of appearance, I think that would really be beneficial to the Warriors, but that's a big if. You ask any Warriors fan, I mean, that entire situation has just been a disaster this entire year. And you're right. Surprise wasn't the right word, especially because I think it could go 7. So my official pick would probably be Warriors in 6, though.